Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is EducationUSA regional webinar, and today we are glad to introduce another wonderful topic for you. But before that, you can scan the QR code and register for our future events. And while you are registering, today we'll talk about petroleum engineering in the USA. So today our webinar is designed to guide prospective students through the exciting field of petroleum engineering in the United States, and this session will help you explore some academic pathways, structure of the program, some research opportunities, and promising career prospects. I'm glad to welcome a wonderful team today who will guide you on this process of applying to the university and studying this wonderful program. And we will start with introduction. Thank you so much for joining us today, and the floor is yours.
So we'll do a quick introduction. My name is Vivian Wong. I serve as Vice Provost for Global Engagement here at the University of Tulsa. We're very excited to have this opportunity to share some information about petroleum engineering programs, the possible career path in the US or around the world. And my colleagues will be giving more detailed information, and we'll all be available for questions in the end. Thank you. I'll pass it along to Taylor.
Hello, good morning from Tulsa, Oklahoma. My name is Taylor Jennings, and I'm the Director of International Student Engagement here at the university.
Hi, everyone. Oh, you go ahead, Doctor.
Yeah.
My name is Mohan Kyalkar, and actually I'm a faculty member at the University of Tulsa in the Department of Petroleum Engineering.
And my name is Monica Scott, and I'm the Manager of International Recruitment at the University of Tulsa.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today. So I think we can start with our presentation, right?
Yes. Thank you all very much for joining. So, as was mentioned, we will be discussing studying petroleum engineering in the United States and the things that you need to know. We will be going over some general information, but our professor here will also be covering the research opportunities at the University of Tulsa as well. So we can go to the next slide. So what exactly is petroleum engineering? So petroleum engineering focuses on developing, exploring, drilling, producing, and managing oil and natural gas resources, as well as other minerals. Students who study petroleum engineering will take a variety of courses that will focus on math, physics, geology, as well, of course, as engineering and engineering principles. So this is interdisciplinary, and work in this field can include designing wells, optimizing production, and improving extraction methods when it comes to oil and natural gas. One thing that is important to know is that the industry is evolving. This is because energy systems are diversifying. So engineers are increasingly working at an intersection of traditional energy technologies, which include, of course, oil and natural gas, as well as emerging energy technologies. Why should you consider studying petroleum engineering in the United States? So the United States is an industry leader in energy technology, and it is one of the world's largest energy producers, a global leader in oil, natural gas, and energy technology. We have strong partnerships in our research programs, as well as our industries when it comes to studying within the US. And this is because many US universities have researchers, laboratories, and funded projects in energy and petroleum engineering. For example, at the University of Tulsa, our School of Petroleum Engineering has joint industry projects, and these are supported by some of the world's top energy firms. Faculty also often collaborate with energy companies and research institutions. So students benefit from exposure to real world engineering challenges, and there are just so many opportunities, of course, when it comes to this field, and getting to know not only your professors, but also, other professionals in the industry. There's also potential for a high earning career. So petroleum engineering is consistently among the highest paying and engineering fields. So in the United States, the median annual salary was around $141,000. And this is in 2024, and that's according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. And compared to other fields, entry-level salaries start very strong. There are also global career opportunities. So graduates in petroleum engineering are prepared for careers in the United States, of course, but also globally. So at the University of Tulsa, we've had alumni who have found employment at leading companies like Kuwait Oil Company, ConocoPhillips, etc. Coterra Energy, yeah. And you might be wondering, if you study petroleum engineering, what are some of the job opportunities? What does this look like? So places to work, these include traditional oil and gas companies, service industries, which serve traditional energy companies. You can also be helping with energy transition needs. Of course, there are always opportunities at universities as well as research organizations, and then financial institutions. Some career opportunities may include being an energy analyst, drilling engineer, geoscientist, completions engineer, production engineer, reservoir engineer. And at the University of Tulsa, our placement of students for petroleum engineering is close to 100%. And I'm going to go ahead and probably hand this over very shortly, just because I do have a little bit about the history of Tulsa. So if you could move to the next slide. One thing I would like to note is that when it comes to Tulsa, it's important to note that we were once known as the oil capital of the world. And this is because of our central role in early United States oil industry. So early 20th century, Tulsa became a global hub for oil exploration, and production, energy innovation, and major oil company headquarters. And today, this legacy has continued because there are many energy and engineering, like education, that's what we focus on here at the University of Tulsa. We're really building on that legacy. We have research, innovation, and workforce development, and there is a focus on the future of energy as well here. And just a few statistics about Tulsa in general. We are a very affordable place to live. We are a great place to live in your 20s and a very good place to start a career, top 50. We're very caring here. And as for the University of Tulsa in particular, we are a private and doctoral degree granting co-educational institution. So we have several bachelor's, master's, and doctoral programs. Petroleum engineering is offered for bachelor's, master's, and doctoral levels. So whatever you're interested in, like, you can always study petroleum engineering at any of those three levels. We have students who have studied petroleum engineering here at all three levels, actually. We are, of course, a top 10 best engineering school and top 12 private colleges for engineering salaries. Of course, because we're talking about petroleum engineering, we are #1 graduate petroleum engineering program in the United States and #3 for undergraduate. And we can go to the next slide. We're a little bit smaller. We're a private institution, so there's shy of 4,000 students, and around 10% of our students are international. We do have a 9-to-1 student to faculty ratio and a smaller average class size. What this means is that your professors are going to get to know who you are within your classes, and it's going to be hard to skip your classes. So if you really, for students who are thinking about maybe they want a bigger class size, You won't be able to hide in your classes here. They're going to get to know you and who you are. So yeah. And I will hand this off now. If you would like to discuss more about petroleum engineering, I know some of this has been covered, but some of our facilities.
You want me to start or?
You're welcome to. I can also cover.
No, continue. That's fine.
Okay. So as I mentioned before, we are very well known for our petroleum engineering program within the United States, as well as the world. And like I said before, Tulsa has been the oil capital of the world. So there are many job and internship opportunities here. Our program is ABET accredited, and we have cutting edge facilities that our professor will be discussing more of. So if anyone is curious, we have state-of-the-art computer facilities for petroleum engineering. We have a drilling laboratory located actually at a separate campus. So we have our main campus at the University of Tulsa, and then around 10 minutes away, we have a campus called the North Campus, and this is where our petroleum engineering, like cutting edge facilities, is located. We have a full-scale cutting transport facility, a 2,000-foot well for multi-phase and artificial lift experiments, and multi-phase flow loop for many, many projects. So our petroleum engineering students will be taking courses, of course, at both campuses. But they can get that good hands-on experience. And now I will hand it off.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon. I just want to make one correction. Actually, our program in graduate is also number 3, just like our undergraduate program. It's not number 1. So let me just discuss what is unique about University of Tulsa, especially related to the research. Unlike many other universities where the experiments are conducted on a small scale and they're very difficult to scale up to a level where it can be utilized in practice, a lot of our research philosophy is based on conducting the research which can be applied to solve industry problems. And what that means is that we want to conduct experiments on a large enough scale that whatever we observe on that scale can be easily applied to the industry applications. So a lot of the things we have done in the past really has been utilized in the industry. And if you are familiar with, or if you ever get familiar with some of our research in multi-phase flow or drilling engineering or reservoir engineering, you will see the name of University of Tulsa mentioned in many of the commercial softwares. And that is because a lot of the work we have done has been incorporated in many of those commercial softwares. So we work very closely with the industry to understand the problems and provide the solutions. And we have a balance of research in all the 3 main areas of petroleum engineering, which is reservoir, production, and drilling. So our goal is to prepare the graduate students either to work in industry or in academia. So can you go to the next slide? So currently, you can see the picture on the right-hand side, which is our research facility on the North Campus. And you can see from the aerial view that the facility is quite large. And a lot of our setups are really built close to the industrial scale so that the data we collect and the data we gather and analyze can be applied to practical problems. The reputation of the university comes from its consortia, which is an amalgamation of many industry partners coming together to fund a common idea or common research problems. And we have many research consortia starting in 1966 and continuing even till today, which actually work with the industry to solve those problems. We have 4 in production, 1 in reservoir and 1 in drilling, and 1 is mixed. And knowing that these research projects have continued for more than 50 years shows the durability and the industry's approval for these research projects. So we are very cognizant about what the research needs are from the industry, and we make sure that we can combine the academic rigor with industry needs so that both parties are happy. We have a total research funding in the petroleum engineering today, and it has averaged about the same amount for many years, about $6 million per year. And most of that funding is coming from the industry. Can you go to the next slide, please? Now, people may wonder that, are we going to run out of fossil fuels? And the answer to that question is that the industry may be changing, but the usage of fossil fuels continues to increase. So the demand for oil today is about 102 million barrels a day, and the demand for gas is more than 100 BCF, billion cubic feet a day. And the demand continues to rise. So really, there is no near future where we will eliminate the fossil fuels. However, the industry is also becoming more cognizant about the problems it creates, and we are doing research in many other areas where we can use the expertise of our subsurface knowledge and apply them in other fields. So for example, we have a facility where we are studying CO2 transportation, because if you want to put the CO2 from the atmosphere in the ground, we have to transport it, and we are examining that. If we switch to hydrogen-based economy, we have a loop on hydrogen transport and how do we incorporate that in existing natural gas pipelines. A lot of the times the gas is generated from biofuels or biogas, and we are looking at the transportation of that biogas and removing of the impurities so it can be transported safely. We are looking at the efficient transportation of the produced water, because oil industry produces significant amount of water, and that water needs to be processed and treated for environmental reasons. We are looking at methane emissions from the existing wells so that we can minimize that methane emission. We have a program related to cybersecurity of the natural gas pipelines, which is combined with our computer science program. We are looking at geothermal systems, how to model them, how to evaluate them, what are the different drilling technology we can utilize in that particular area. And then we are also developing new ideas about how we can plug the wells where we are injecting CO2 in the ground in some of the existing oil and gas fields. So this kind of gives you a sampling of the research projects we are working on, which are related to energy transition. Can you go to the next slide, please? So I'll be happy to answer any questions, but that gives you kind of a brief introduction about our research program here. Thank you.
If anyone has any questions, please do share. I'm also happy to share like admissions and scholarships at the University of Tulsa, if that's of interest.
Thank you so much, dear colleagues, for this wonderful presentation. While we're waiting for some questions from students and our participants, we also received some questions from students who registered for the webinar, and I will be glad to, we received one question in the chat, and the question is, I would like to ask what kind of research your university is interested in? Like, I think that what is just covered, yeah, but maybe you could just briefly mention.
Okay. I think what I can say is that what makes University of Tulsa unique is that a lot of our research is based on experimental program. So we don't just do theoretical research, although we have projects related to only theoretical research. If you are interested in doing experimental work, then University of Tulsa provides very unique facilities. The second difference about the type of research we do is that unlike many other universities where most of the funding comes from federal government, our funding comes from the industry directly. So we are very closely attuned to what the industry needs, and we provide practical research which can help the industry. So if you are interested in experimental work, if you are interested in working very closely with the industry, then you have great opportunity to come here and do that.
Great, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. We also received many questions about financial aid. Could you please just briefly mention, do you provide any kind of financial aid for students, for international students, for this program particularly, or maybe like in general at the university?
So I can just talk about graduate students, and I think maybe Monica can cover some of the undergraduate funding. But most of our graduate students who come here to do research, and as long as they're qualified, and that's an important thing because they have to apply to come to the University of Tulsa, and the faculty has to accept the student. But if the student is accepted to work in any of the research programs, their education will be free because they will get the tuition assistance as well as the stipend to study the graduate research. So if you are qualified and you are accepted, then you will not have to pay anything. I think your education will be covered free of charge.
Yes, thank you for sharing about that. For undergraduate students, we do have scholarship opportunity for all students. So of course, while this webinar is focused on petroleum engineering, we do have other programs and scholarship is available to all of these students. All of our scholarships are merit-based, and we have automatic consideration for up to $35,000. This is based on one being extracurricular activities, so students doing any kind of leadership, community service, academic competitions, they can be considered for scholarship, as well as GPA recalculation, which we do, and IELTS, TOEFL, any English proficiency test. All of these are taken into consideration for scholarship. We do have other separate scholarship opportunities as well, but those are the $35,000 is for automatic consideration. So, yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. So today we are focusing on engineering, and actually like February is the month of this focus on these programs. But I think our students are also interested in other programs that they can study at university. So maybe you could briefly also share what are the options, what they can study at this great University of Tulsa.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share. And if any of my colleagues also want to add on, but we have several, of course, engineering opportunities, mechanical engineering, chemical, but we do have one of the statistics that was mentioned in the slides way early on was having 80% medical school admission. While the University of Tulsa does not have a specific medical school, we do have a pre-med, pre-health program that has great success when it comes to students getting into medical school. So that is one opportunity. We have several liberal arts degrees as well, a STEM psychology program, energy transition, of course, and if anyone else want to add any of our programs that come first to your mind, please go ahead.
Yeah, Mohan, you want to talk a little bit more general, the College of Engineering and Computer Science? Professor Mohan? Or you want me to? Okay, you're muted. I think you're muted.
So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to talk about other engineering programs within College
Just
of Engineering?
general, a brief overview of the
Okay, great.
college.
So we have a College of Engineering and Computer Science, and it has petroleum engineering, chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, computer engineering, computer science. So those are the engineering programs where we offer the degrees, bachelor's and master's, and we also offer PhDs in chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and computer science. We also have a program in cyber sciences where we offer bachelor's, master's, and PhD. And the cybersecurity program is very well known, and it has been established just a few years ago. So those are the programs where we have the degrees. Um, I do not know in specifics really what type of research they do, because again, that's not my expertise really. So
Great.
Yeah.
I did notice a question asking mechanical engineering or welding. So while we do have mechanical engineering, welding in particular is not a part of the program.
no, welding is more like technicians work. I
Yes.
mean, so if you're interested in research related to welding, you might be able to do that. But if you want to become a welder, that's not really part of mechanical engineering program. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for
Yeah.
clarifying. So, since this is the webinar for international students from 11 countries, I think the process of applying is pretty clear for bachelor degree. Yes, so they usually apply through Common App, right? How about master degree? Can you maybe advise anything to them if they're interested in your programs?
So I think that in general, if you are doing an advanced degree, whether it's master's or PhD, your chances of getting full assistantship is much better if you are enrolled in PhD program than in your master's program. We do have a program in master's in engineering, which is a non-thesis option, where students can continue and complete their master's degree program without doing thesis. But in most cases, when you adopt that program, you will not get any assistantship, other than some scholarships you may get, but you will not be fully funded. But if you're doing a project where it's research based and you're working on a thesis or dissertation, then you have a much better chance of getting a full funding. So there is that distinction about getting a master's of engineering where you really get no funding, master's in science where you may get some funding, and a PhD when you have a much better chance. As a matter of fact, we don't have any PhD student who is not funded. So they will get funding. So that's the difference in terms of what degree program you want to pursue.
Yeah, that's amazing, I think. Thank you so much for sharing. So, our students are also interested in campus life as well. Could you please maybe share about your campus life? How much is that specific, maybe? Because the program are pretty specific, I think, but I think like the campus life should be also exciting.
I think Taylor would be great to answer these questions, as what her daily job is to really supporting our international students, integrating to our campus, to our community, and really support our students, international student success.
Yes, of course. I'm so excited to talk about this. As I mentioned, I'm the Director of International Student Engagement. I do think that my colleagues have really emphasized how much of a community you will have in your degree program. But in addition to that, you are a part of a larger Tulsa community and a University of Tulsa community. So from the moment that students begin their application process, we love to provide support, provide webinars, because we know that transition to studying in another country is a little bit of a new environment. So we love to provide pre-arrival webinars. For our orientation, we usually have a week-long event where we provide greeter service, shopping trips, setting up bank accounts, all of the necessities. And then we also get to do a lot of fun events in our office. This Friday, we are having a watch party for the Olympics. We have English conversation groups, shopping trips. We also, it is tax season, so we will be helping our students file taxes. That doesn't mean you pay, but we get to send our information about our taxes to the government. But it is just a great community that we do fun things, necessities, and you also are a part of a beautiful city here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I think we who live here are so proud of the city and to be a part of it. We have a world or a US famous park, the Gathering Place, that is one of our favorite places to visit, along with museums. We have a great art district here in Tulsa, so it's a great community to be a part of.
If I could add one more thing, is that I think petroleum engineering specifically is an international community, because we have a very large, our graduate program is exclusively international. More than 99% of our students in a graduate program are international students. Even our undergraduate program, about 30 to 40% of the students are international. Our faculty is international. We have 5 countries represented in our faculty. So I don't think the student will feel very much at home when they come here. I think right now in petroleum engineering, we have 35 countries represented in our program. So you'll find someone, if not from your country, close to you.
Yeah, that's good to know. Thank you so much for sharing. Also, maybe you could talk about like a kind of short-term programs or any like summer programs. Are there any opportunities like this at your university?
So we don't really have summer programs per se, but let me just make one additional piece of information available to you, which is that a lot of the students who come to study petroleum engineering really get practical experience during the summer, because we offer what we call a summer externship program, because many of the international students may have difficulty getting jobs in the summer as an intern. But what we do is we couple them with some of the industry mentors, and they can work on a project which is practical, industry driven, and over 10-week period they get some good experience about how industry operates and works, and they can add that to their resume. So they'll get some industrial experience even though they may not have an internship, so which is a valuable additional knowledge you could gain.
Yeah, that's a great point to share with our prospective students. And back to your original question, we do not have any summer programs open to the public in general, but some partner institutions or schools may reach out to us and request some tailored programs based on their students' needs. If there's any high school counselors in the audience, feel free to let us know if you have any interest in wanting to explore those opportunities, understand the academics for your students. We'll be happy to work with you and our professors and faculty in the specific departments and to possibly design the program for you.
Thank you so much. So there is also a question in the chat, what type of engineering is better and more flexible? I think it's pretty difficult to answer this question, but maybe we just could talk about their ideal student for this program. Yeah, like how
Yeah.
international students should look like be like, what he or she should focus on to be their best student at your university.
I think that this is a personal choice about what type of engineering you would like to do. I mean, obviously, if you're interested in computer programming, you don't want to become petroleum engineer, right? If you like to sit in the office and sit in front of the terminal and that's your passion, then obviously engineering program where you require interaction with other people may not be the right job for you. So it's very hard to know what is better because ultimately, when you look for a job, you look for a job where you are passionate about it. You really want to like it. I mean, I think that every student walks in my office and I tell them, I think what I want you to be is 25 years from now. You wake up in the morning and you want to go to work because you believe you can make a difference. And that's the best job you ever have. And it doesn't matter what you study. I mean, I think if you really like it, you're passionate about it, you will be good at it. But petroleum engineering specifically, I would say there are three characteristics you require, and those are the questions you ask yourself. If those are the three characteristics you have, first is that you have to be able to communicate because you're working with geologists, geophysicists, people in the field. And it's not a job where you can sit in the office and work in isolation. You really have to communicate with a lot of people because oil field is very complicated. And by yourself, you may not be able to understand it. So really you have to talk to other people. Number two is you basically realize that it's a global industry. Oil field in US underneath is no different than oil field in Russia. Okay. I mean, the geological characteristics are very similar. So when you work in the industry, just remember that you are a global citizen of that industry and not particular place. Because a lot of the techniques and technologies you learn can be applied anywhere else in the world as long as the characteristics are similar. And the third thing is that you have to have the ability and the desire to learn and continue to learn because you are exploiting a mineral, okay, what's underground. And it gets more and more difficult to find minerals, of course, as time goes by, right? Easy things have been discovered, more difficult things need to be discovered. That means there are technologies you will never learn in the classroom. You will apply them in the future. So you don't really have a desire to learn new things. You will not be very good in this industry. So I would say that those are the three important characteristics of a petroleum engineering. I mean, if you fly to France and the first thing you think about is McDonald's, then you are not a good petroleum engineer. You got to try French food if you're there. And that's the ability really to understand you are a global citizen. And we talked about international students, but you work in any oil company, anywhere in the world, by the way. I'm not talking about the US. You go to Abu Dhabi, you go to Europe, and you'll find that it's an amalgamation of international people. Because oil industry experience is global. It's not restricted to a particular place. And so you have to be a global citizen really to be a good petroleum engineer.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm so happy that this is our focus actually this month and this year. I think it's like the priority for Education USA and US policy as well. So I would like to thank you for this wonderful presentation. It was really informative, and I think that our students will watch it later if they didn't have a chance to join at this moment, and they probably they will have more questions, of course. But at this moment, they will know just a lot of information about this particular sphere. Maybe just like some closing remarks and some advice to our students.
For me to get started, I was an international student about 20 years ago, came to the US. I know there is a lot of media coverage, a lot of different message right now about whether this is the time to study in the US. I do want to say the University of Tulsa is really an inclusive campus environment, and really chase your dream and make sure you know why you want to study and what you want to study. And this is still the place for you to make your dream come true.
If I could add something, is that I think what Vivian says is very true, that it's a very welcoming environment and you would have access to the faculty. And I think we are used to working with international students. It's not some novelty. Okay, so we would love to have you here, and you will find it to be a great place to study and be comfortable.